Pay close attention. What you're about to see is Bible prophecy being fulfilled.
Welcome to another edition of YPN News, bringing you news as it relates to Bible prophecy and foretold by Yisrael Hawkins. Well, we do have some more interesting events in the news this week. We have more shootings. Seems like that's a continual thing going on right now. That's correct. Also, a mention of New World Order, and also things taking place continuously in the Middle East. We're going to first start off at Los Angeles, the international airport there, and they're also known as LAX. It's a place where over 175,000 people pass through its terminals every day. Now, there was an event that put a bustling place of transportation to a complete halt. Around mid-morning, a man walked into the airport, took a semi-automatic rifle out of a bag, and started shooting. After the dust cleared the air, one man was dead. He was the first TSA agent ever killed in the line of duty. 6 others were rushed to a hospital. One is in critical condition.
Now, authorities have identified a man named Paul Ciencia as a suspect in this latest epidemic of mass shootings. Now, Ciencia is from the Los Angeles area and has roots in New Jersey. He is currently in police custody. Now, a note was found in his bag that may reveal clues to the reason for the events. Passengers scattered to avoid gunfire as they hid in and under any place of protection they could find. Now, the police calls started coming in around 9:20 in the morning in the middle of the morning rush.
That's right. Witnesses recall hearing a shot and then a stampede of terrified passengers heading toward doors leading to the tarmac. The shooting began at a TSA checkpoint, and LA Police Chief Patrick Gannon at a press conference said he proceeded into the screening area and continued shooting past the screeners into the airport itself. Now, Ciencia shot 4 TSA agents on his way through, of course, killing one. He got pretty deep into the terminal, the chief said, where eateries and stores were at. And, of course, some of those stores had their windows blown out as a result of bullets flying from Ciencia's weapon.
Now, one witness, Billy Bay, recalled what he saw in a phone interview with CBS News. He said, "I saw him and thought everything was fine and that he was just another passenger looking for a gate. And then I saw he had a gun, a big gun, and that's when I got pretty scared." Now, Chief Gannon also said that the officers on the scene didn't hesitate as they confronted this individual.
I bet that would be scary. Now, John Miller, a former head of counterterrorism for the LAPD, gave his analysis of the events and the suspect. Mr. Miller said Ciencia doesn't have a violent criminal history or references to him in the FBI files, but what is seen is his actions that day, focusing on TSA agents as he went on his shooting spree. A note in his bag said that TSA agents were fascists and pigs, as well as anti-American and anti-TSA rantings and references that Ciencia made to a New World Order, which, according to Miller, is a growing conspiracy group that believes that the world will be taken over by forces in black helicopters and so forth.
Well, the morning of the shooting, he texted his parents, this was Paul Ciencia, and said that he was going to shoot himself. Now, they in turn called authorities, and a response was made to his house where he was not, but a roommate was there who didn't know where he was. So this was something that he had actually contemplated carrying out that day, and then apparently he did.
Right. Now, in that story, the term New World Order was mentioned, and John Miller, he said that this was some type of growing conspiracy group, and of course it sounds like it would be something made up by a bunch of crazy people huddled down in a bunker somewhere in the desert, but you know, it's not really the case.
But actually, some of our former presidents actually talked about New World Order.
Exactly, that was going to be my next point, but not to hear it from us, why don't you take a look and listen to the next clip to see how not so crazy this idea might sound.
Now, is to actually create a new world order, because the global order is changing again. And the institutions and the rules that worked so well in the post-World War II era for decades, they need to be strengthened, and some have to be changed.
We have before us the opportunity to forge for ourselves and for future generations a new world order, a world where the rule of law, not the law of the jungle, governs the conduct of nations. When we are successful, and we will be, we have a real chance at this new world order, an order in which a credible United Nations can use its peacekeeping role to fulfill the promise and vision of the UN's founders.
There's a need for a new world order, but it has different characteristics in different parts of the world.
Never before has a new world order had to be assembled from so many different perceptions or on so global a scale. Nor has any previous order had to combine the attributes of the historic balance of power system with global democratic opinion and the exploding technology of the contemporary period.
After 1989, President Bush said, and it's a phrase that I often use myself, that we needed a new world order.
I think its task will be to develop an overall strategy for America in this period when really a new world order can be created. It's a great opportunity. It isn't just a crisis.
What is at stake is more than one small country. It is a big idea, a new world order, where diverse nations are drawn together in common cause to achieve the universal aspirations of mankind: peace and security, freedom, and the rule of law. Such is a world worthy of our struggle and worthy of our children's future.
So, in conclusion, ladies and gentlemen, a new world is emerging. It is a new world order with significantly different and radically new challenges.
And the hope that each of us has to build a new world order.
And I strongly believe India will be a central actor in the new world order.
Definitely some big names that are mentioned in that new world order.
That's
Not
right.
so crazy after all.
And from the New World Order to one of its chief interests in the East, Israel is being exposed this week for an alleged bombing of certain missile sites in Syria. Now, YPN's Larry McGee has a report. Larry, has Israel actually acknowledged this attack, or is it still unconfirmed at this point?
At this point, the attacks have been confirmed by unnamed White House officials. The target, according to reports, are the country's Russian-manufactured missiles, and the strikes have come just as the Syrian government has began dismantling its chemical weapons supply. The Israelis, for some time now, have had a standing threat to hit Syria in the event that information surfaced indicating an intention to transfer sophisticated weapons to hostile Lebanese allies such as Hezbollah. The surface-to-air missiles believed to have been the target would be capable of retaliating against Israeli warplanes over Lebanon in the event that Israel was to launch a strike there, and that is why they are reported to have decided on the attack. Israeli officials say they are not choosing sides in the Syrian uprising. Instead, they prefer to watch the fight, but will not, however, allow someone to come out of the conflict stronger, and that's the position which prompted their decision. While all this information is available concerning the thinking of Israelis regarding the attack, on record, they are neither confirming nor denying the strike, and are said to be beyond angry due to the White House exposing them. One top Israeli newspaper headlined today, "You are hurting us," and a senior security consultant accused America of selling out Israel. This latest strike is actually one of several carried out by Israel just this year. One was executed in early May and another just this Wednesday. The tactical thought has been that if they remain quiet concerning the attacks, it will lessen the probability of Syrian retaliation. Up until now, they have been correct, and they are therefore outraged at the latest U.S. tactic designed to stir up the Syrian government and provoke its leader to provide a pretext for the coming and inevitable United States and Syrian war. For YPN News, I'm Larry McGee. Katan Jeff, back to you.
Well, as always, we appreciate your reporting, Larry. Now, Middle East tensions grow after new reports concerning Iran's nuclear weapons program. Israel has threatened to take action based on the belief that Iran could be ready to build a nuclear weapon, now listen to this, in less than a month. Now, among the reports is that uranium is still being enriched to 20%, which is just a small step away from reaching weapons grade. And now this contradicts an earlier report which said that Iran had reduced enrichment to no greater than 5%.
Seems like the reports are always contradicting each other.
They always seem to be a little bit behind.
That's right. This news is coming in just weeks ahead of the second round of negotiations aimed at ending Iran's nuclear weapons program. Fox News recently spoke with John Bolton, a former U.S. ambassador to the United Nations and senior fellow at the American Enterprise Institute. He was asked to give an assessment of these latest reports.
Mr. Bolton said, "I think what they highlight is just how extensive the work that Iran has done already is. Now, they're not racing to build one or two nuclear weapons. They're building a capacity in their nuclear weapons that when they decide to break out and weaponize, they could put together dozens of weapons."
Right. He continued, "So this timeline that we hear about, I think, demonstrates that Iran's capacity is already so great that the negotiations that we've been having with Iran are simply a way for them to buy more time. And why these comments that you're hearing from the Israelis should be a warning to us is that time is very short."
Now, when asked if Israel's bark will be as effective without the bite or backing of the U.S., Ambassador Bolton had this to say. He said, "Well, the bite is effective. To strike Iran now would be, I think, at the outer limit of Israel's capacity. But remember, they don't have to do the amount of damage the United States would be capable of doing."
Interesting. He went on to say, what Israel has to do is break Iran's control over the nuclear fuel cycle at key points. Uranium conversion, not much talked about, but moving a solid to a gas and uranium enrichment, and Israel does have that capability. Now, would Israel prefer to have the United States do it? Absolutely. Is there any chance that's going to happen under President Obama? No way. Which is why the spotlight is on the very, very difficult decision that Israel, I think, will soon have to make.
Well, he also said we can only speculate that Iran has already crossed the nuclear finish line, which means the risk of retaliation for any strike by Israel or the United States, now listen to this, would be a nuclear response.
Strong words.
I think Israel, he went on to say, may already be too late in some aspects, and every day that goes by increases the risk for them. Wow.
Interesting. Meanwhile, back in Washington, Congress is being asked by the White House and State Department to hold off on additional new sanctions against Iran, which, I mean, apparently those sanctions have proven not to work.
That's right.
To not be very effective in times past. They're obviously not going to do anything right now. So hoping this will give the current diplomatic talks underway right now time for thought and possible peaceful agreements.
Well, Mr. Bolton was also asked if he thought that this strategy would work. Bolton said, "I think that the administration's approach is nothing less than appeasement. I think that we have to be straightforward about this. I don't think the economic sanctions that Congress has imposed or is considering is going to stop Iran's nuclear weapons program. But they do put pressure on the regime," he said, and they're the indication of the toughness or the strength of the Americans' position.
Once again, Mr. Bolton continued, when you see the Obama administration lobbying against these economic sanctions, it's a clear signal to the Ayatollahs in Tehran, that they hold the stronger bargaining position in these negotiations. There's no reason for them to make compromises when they see the White House making it for them.
That's right. Well, lastly, Ambassador Bolton was asked if a new conflict in the Middle East was imminent. He replied, no, not necessarily. I think the greater risk is the administration effectively making all the concessions that Iran wants, and that will lead to much greater long-term risk, he said. Well, what Ambassador Bolton doesn't realize is that there is war, nuclear war, prophesied to take place in and around the great river Euphrates. Now, Yisrael Hawkins of the House Yahweh has been explaining these prophecies concerning nuclear war for years now. To learn more about these prophecies and other scriptural knowledge, call or write the House Yahweh today and find out what the preachers in this world have been hiding from you, and also find out the only true way to salvation from the only one prophesied to offer it.
Now, when you contact the House of Yahweh, don't forget to order your monthly newsletter and Prophetic Word magazine. When you do so, write the House of Yahweh at P.O. Box 2498, Abilene, Texas 79604. And don't forget to give them a call at 1-800-613-9494. You can visit them on the web at www.yahweh.com and www.yisraelhawkins.com. You can email them at info@yahweh.com. And all calls outside the United States, please dial the number on your screen.
Don't go anywhere. Up next is Yisrael Hawkins. From all of us here at YPN News, I'm Jeffrey Heimerman.
And I'm Katan Alexander.
Thanks for watching.